Solar storms and heightened solar activity have always been a concern for scientists, but as we approach 2025, the stakes are higher than ever. With the sun set to reach its solar maximum, experts are warning about potential widespread disruptions to Earth's infrastructure. Could this lead to a global blackout, leaving power grids and communication networks crippled? Today, we're taking a closer look into the possibility of solar storms causing unprecedented outages, and what NASA and other agencies are saying about the risks we face. Understanding solar activity. The sun follows an 11-year cycle of solar activity, transitioning between periods of low and high activity known as the solar minimum and solar maximum. During the solar maximum, the sun is more volatile, with increased solar flares and coronal mass ejections, CMEs, being observed. These events can have significant effects on Earth's atmosphere and technology. As the sun ramps up to this peak of activity, scientists have been closely monitoring its behavior, with 2025 marking the expected solar maximum. Solar flares, intense bursts of radiation, and CMEs, massive expulsions of plasma and magnetic fields, are at the core of these concerns. When these solar events are directed at Earth, they can interact with our planet's magnetic field, causing geomagnetic storms. While some of these storms are mild, stronger ones can cause widespread disruptions to satellite communications, GPS systems, and even power grids. The sun's current activity is part of solar cycle 25, and early observations show that it may be more intense than initially predicted. As of 2024, the sun has already produced significant flares, and its sunspot count is rising faster than expected. This heightened activity has prompted experts to warn of potential dangers, including the risk of technology-dependent systems being severely affected. Although solar storms have occurred throughout history, the modern world's reliance on technology makes us far more vulnerable to their impacts. The most alarming potential impact of increased solar activity is the disruption to Earth's infrastructure, particularly the power grids that modern society depends on. During strong solar storms, the interaction between the sun's energetic particles and Earth's magnetic field can induce electrical currents in power lines. These geomagnetic-induced currents, GICs, can overload transformers and other critical components of the grid, potentially causing widespread blackouts. One of the most famous examples of this occurred in 1989, when a powerful solar storm caused a blackout in Quebec, leaving millions without power for hours. With more advanced and interconnected systems today, the consequences of such an event could be even more severe. In addition to power grids, satellite-based communication systems are at risk. Solar flares can interfere with radio communications, particularly those used for navigation and aviation. The more dangerous coronal mass ejections can damage satellites themselves, knocking them out of operation or reducing their lifespan. With the increasing reliance on satellite communications for internet, GPS, and other vital services, a significant solar event could disrupt global communications. This has led some experts to warn of an internet apocalypse, where long-duration outages could affect large portions of the globe. While the likelihood of a complete, prolonged internet blackout remains debated, the risk of disruptions to various communication services during a solar storm is very real. As we approach 2025, the sun's activity is ramping up faster than many scientists initially predicted. Solar Cycle 25, which began in 2019, was expected to reach its peak around 2025, but recent observations suggest that the solar maximum might be more intense than anticipated. The sunspot count, which correlates with solar activity, has been higher than expected throughout 2024, with some months recording the highest numbers seen in over 2 decades. This increase in activity has caused some concern among scientists, as more sunspots generally lead to more solar flares and coronal mass ejections, both of which can have serious effects on Earth's technological infrastructure. NASA and NOAA have been closely monitoring this activity, providing real-time updates on the sun's behavior. Their forecasts suggest that solar storms could become more frequent and potentially more severe as we near 2025. This uptick in activity has prompted scientists to reevaluate their predictions for solar cycle 25, and the possibility of significant geomagnetic storms remains a concern. Although solar cycles have been studied for decades, there are still many unknowns about how solar maximums will play out, making it difficult to predict the exact level of disruption. However, the heightened activity observed so far has reinforced the need for global preparedness in the face of a potentially volatile solar environment. In response to the growing concern over the Sun's increasing activity and the potential for widespread disruptions, space agencies, governments, and private organizations are working on strategies to mitigate the effects of a significant solar storm. NASA and NOAA, in particular, have ramped up their efforts to monitor and forecast solar events. By using a combination of ground-based observatories and space probes, these agencies provide early warnings for geomagnetic storms and other solar phenomena. One of the key tools in this effort is NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory, SDO, which constantly monitors the Sun and sends real-time data back to Earth. This data allows scientists to predict when solar flares, or CMEs, are likely to hit Earth, giving power grid operators, communication networks, and satellite companies time to prepare. In addition to monitoring, governments are investing in infrastructure resilience. The power grid, which is particularly vulnerable to geomagnetic storms, has been a primary focus. Efforts are being made to upgrade transformers and other critical components to withstand the potential overload caused by geomagnetic-induced currents. International collaboration is also essential, as solar storms do not affect just one region. They have the potential to disrupt technology on a global scale. Countries are working together to share data, improve early warning systems, and develop coordinated responses to minimize the damage from solar storm. While no system is completely immune to solar impacts, these preparedness measures are designed to reduce the severity of disruptions and ensure that critical infrastructure can recover quickly. The growing attention surrounding the Sun's increased activity has sparked numerous concerns and, in some cases, exaggerated fears. One of the most prominent myths circulating is the idea of a complete and prolonged global blackout, often referred to as an internet apocalypse, that could last for months or even years. While it is true that solar storms have the potential to disrupt communication networks, power grids, and satellites, the idea of a total and long-lasting global shutdown is highly unlikely. Solar storms are unpredictable in their exact impact, and the most severe effects are generally limited to specific regions rather than the entire globe. Additionally, modern monitoring systems and technological advancements allow for early warnings, providing industries time to take protective measures. NASA and other scientific organizations have repeatedly emphasized that while there is a risk of temporary disruptions, efforts are being made to mitigate the damage. The likelihood of an event on the scale of a complete worldwide communication blackout is remote. Much of the fear surrounding this issue stems from a misunderstanding of how solar storms interact with Earth's magnetic field and infrastructure. In reality, most solar storms result in minor interruptions, such as brief radio blackouts or minor power grid fluctuations. Addressing these misconceptions is vital to prevent unnecessary panic and to encourage the public to rely on scientifically backed information. While vigilance is essential, fear should not be driven by speculation, but by facts grounded in current research. To understand the potential impact of future solar storms, it is useful to look at historical events that have demonstrated the power of solar activity. One of the most well-known incidents is the Carrington Event of 1859, which remains the most powerful geomagnetic storm on record. This solar storm was so intense that it caused telegraph systems across Europe and North America to fail, with some operators reporting sparks from their equipment. Aurorae were visible as far south as the Caribbean, illuminating the night sky in ways that had never been seen before. If an event of this magnitude were to occur today, the consequences would likely be far more severe, given our dependence on electricity, satellites, and communication technologies. In more recent history, the solar storm of 1989 caused significant damage to the power grid in Quebec, Canada, resulting in a 9-hour blackout that affected millions of people. The geomagnetic storm generated by the sun's activity induced currents that overwhelmed the region's electrical system. This incident serves as a reminder that even in the modern era, solar storms can cause significant disruption to everyday life. Although today's technology is more advanced and resilient, the lessons from these events underscore the need for preparedness. These historical precedents highlight that while severe solar storms are rare, they are capable of widespread impact, and with solar activity intensifying, vigilance remains crucial. In today's world, technological advancements have revolutionized communication, transportation, and industry, but they have also increased society's vulnerability to solar storms. The Internet, which is now integral to nearly every aspect of modern life, relies on undersea cables, satellites, and data centers that could be affected by a major solar event. During a significant solar storm, satellites in Earth's orbit can experience heightened drag, which could push them out of their normal orbits, leading to communication blackouts or, in extreme cases, satellite failure. Additionally, solar flares can interfere with high-frequency radio signals used by airplanes and emergency services, posing risks for aviation and critical infrastructure. Another major concern is the Global Positioning System, GPS, which is vital not just for navigation, but for financial services, military operations, and logistics. Solar activity can disrupt GPS signals, leading to delays and potential errors in systems that rely on precise timing and location. Financial markets, which depend on split-second timing for transactions, could also be affected by the loss of GPS accuracy. Furthermore, power grids, the backbone of modern civilization, are at risk from geomagnetic-induced currents caused by solar storms. These currents can overload transformers and damage essential components of the grid, as witnessed in past incidents. The interconnected nature of these systems means that a disruption in one sector could have cascading effects on other industries, amplifying the overall impact of a solar storm. With technology continuing to evolve, safeguarding these systems from solar activity is becoming an ever more urgent priority. Now it's time to hear from you. Are you worried about the coming solar storm? Let us know in the comment section below.